I hear the call of the stars.
G'day guys, Duckville here. We're into game number 2 between ePGimix and tTWhite-Ra from TT. This is going to be, of course, game number 2 on Metalopolis. This is close air spots, as we can see here. White-Ra down in the bottom position and Gimix up to the left sort of side of the base here. And, of course, we're obviously just sort of sitting at this spot where it is 1 up for White-Ra, of course, in the extended series. So keep in mind, this is sort of the second best of 3 in this particular matchup. So if White-Ra can take this game, he will be into the next round there, of course, and Gimix, of course, will need to fight back and perhaps grab another 2 games. But Gimix obviously succumbing in the previous game to a lot of harass from White-Ra with just lots of zealots just dropping in and saying hi to the mineral line of Gimix, and just unfortunately losing a lot of mining time and not giving up and getting to sort of proceed with his own sorts of harassment. So we'll see if White-Ra is going to go for the same sort of thing, given that it is close air spots. It'll give that Warp Prism a little bit of extra time to get inside the base and drop those zealots off, but we'll see what happens here. Gimix is not going to do anything cheesy at the moment here. We've got the wall here just going up. That's probably going to be that sort of standard soft wall that we do see from the Terrans from time to time. Of course, when you are playing Terran against a Protoss, and it is, you do one of these soft walls where you've got the supply depot, the racks, and the second supply depot, you do have to be careful of any sorts of void ray pressure that may come from your opponent, which can be quite annoying to deal with. So we'll see if White-Ra is going to go for something like that, but I'm assuming, given that it is White-Ra, the fan favorite, we will probably see some special tactics, and we'll see what happens in just a moment. But White-Ra just jumping in here with the scouting probe, just picking off that SCV. If he can get that, it's obviously a big victory, but unlikely that's going to happen. Of course, a player of Gimix's caliber probably not going to lose that early SCV to anything like that. Orbital command switching in here. We do have a gas as well for Gimix. He only has 1 worker in the gas, so this is probably going to be something to do. Nope, he's actually put 2 back in, so perhaps I was going to say it could be something with concussive shell or something like that, but I'm not actually sure. But now with the extra 2 in the gas, that'll change the way this game proceeds from there. So Gimix now jumping inside the base here of White-Ra. We'll see that the cybernetics core is on the way. There's no forge or anything cheesy like that, or hidden gates or anything to that effect. Probe trying to hide out in the gas here will be spotted by that Marine, and the Marine is now chasing away, trying to keep up with that probe, but the probe is slightly faster. But a second Marine is already out and takes the scouting probe down. So no more information for White-Ra for the time being until an observer comes out, or perhaps hallucinations if we're going to get very tricky. Meanwhile, inside the base of White-Ra, this SCV doing a little dance around the cyber and the gateway there. The Zealot is trying to catch up, but he just doesn't catch it there. Of course, the same sort of thing happens there as did with the probe and the Marine, but now a Stalker on the way. The Zealot will probably head up to do some little bit of pressure on the front door of Gimix, and we'll see what White-Ra's progression is here. He is going to go for the Robo Facility. Would be surprised if we see a Warp Prism come out of there in a short time, but Gimix again going for this quick expansion there, getting the 1 racks out. We've got a second one just building now, and just sticking with that 1 gas for the time being. So we'll see what the plan is here from Gimix. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of just a basic sort of expand there with the Marauders and a couple of Marauders and some Marines. An extra gateway now going up for White-Ra. We'll see if he is going to head down to the natural expansion, a 3rd gate there as well. So this is going to be that sort of, in fact, the 4th gate now for White-Ra. So this could be one of his, there is something that he does with the Warp Prism with 4 gates, and essentially makes it like an in-base 4 gate, where you actually just bring the Warp Prism inside and just, you know, proceed to 4 gate from there. But we'll see if that is the plan here. Doing a little bit of micro between these Marines and the Stalkers there. We'll see what happens if the Stalker will be microed enough. It can do a lot of damage to those Marines, but the Marauder now out, which of course does that bonus damage to armored units, as we can see there, doing the 20 damage. So the Stalker will have to be quite careful. He is still marching around here on his little pony legs, just sort of poking around, seeing exactly what is going on inside the base of, inside the natural at least, of Gimix here. But now with that, with these extra gates done, the War Prism is out. It's got 2, maybe 3 Zealots inside. Perhaps going to grab another one in just a moment. But the Warp Gates are now switching over there. They will be able to power up and do some harassment once the Warp Prism gets inside. You would assume that tTWhite-Ra is just going to come straight through here, and here he comes. He's actually bringing that Prism in. He does not actually know where the rest of the forces are, but of course with that early expand from Gimmix, he's not going to have too much inside his base of Marines, and a few Marauders now coming inside. The Zealots have been dropped in, doing a little bit of damage there to those SCVs there, and now they are being microed around. Got to be very careful with where he goes with these Zealots. Of course, they will, if the SCVs are put on stop for their actual command, they may actually be able to do a lot of damage without losing the SCVs, but the SCVs unfortunately not providing too much of a shield there. Some of them going down, and then a few Marines as well. Now warping in a few more Zealots here at the front, at the back, sorry, of the mineral line, pulling those Zealots into the Warp Prism, and now this can adequately perform another attack here, dropping in a couple more Zealots. These guys will do a little bit more damage there. Those SCVs are quite red, some of them in that little pack there, and we'll have a look at the Harvester count in just a tick. There we go. We've actually got the Harvesters currently sitting at 12 for Gimmix, so again, he is in quite a detrimental spot here, getting a 13th in there, and now tTWhite-Ra sitting on 25, expanding behind all of this, doing this fantastic harassment again, and now a Robotics Bay on the way as well. A Stalker is now inside at the natural expansion here, putting some damage on that command center. It's obviously not going to be able to kill it in a very short time, but it will be able to do some damage there. The Warp Prism may go down here. It's down to 23 HP, no shields left. It is going to have to retreat for the time being. In fact, tTWhite-Ra may in general just have to retreat for the moment here. With the stim now active on those Marines, they'll be able to do a lot of damage to the Stalker if they catch it out of position. The concussive shells is not done just yet on the Marauders, but if they can push down, he may be able to do a little bit of damage, but we'll see what tTWhite-Ra's plan is here. He is just about to complete that Robotics Bay. We'll probably see a Colossus get started immediately. There it is. Chrono Boost straight away on that Colossus. Unfortunately for tTWhite-Ra, he is supply capped just at the moment. There we go. That extra payload just warping in now, so he will be able to get that Colossus out pretty quick, and if he can, he should be able to defend against this, but we'll see if he actually has the time, because if Gimmix attacks straight away, he could be able to do some decent damage here and maybe take out this pylon, take out some of these units, which would be really great for him, but he's not going to be able to proceed up that ramp, because if he does, the sentry will put down a force field. In fact, no, without the extra energy there. But Zealot's now being dropped at the back here, trying to cut off the escape path of this Marine Marauder ball. The Marine Marauders are now going to have to run. There are just so many Zealots on the ground. If the Zealots catch those Marines at all, they will tear them apart like someone throwing a feral cat at their face. But now the Colossus out as well. If this is microed beautifully, he should be able to take out a lot of these units, taking out one of the Marines, maybe two, and possibly a third if he micros it away. But the Marines are doing what they can with stim along with the Marauder. May in fact catch this Colossus. That is a huge win there for Gimmix. But back inside his base, what is he doing? He's still pumping away at these racks. Going to get a lot of these bio forces out now, and we'll see if tTWhite-Ra is going to continue this pressure and push it up to the face of Gimmix. But we're just waiting to see if tTWhite-Ra is going to turn around, because at the moment there's probably no way he's going to beat this little bio force. Of course he can do some damage, but without an extra little supply of units here, he is going to have to back off for the time being. The Warp Prism is still in effect here. The Warp Prism, although now caught out, I would actually, sorry, that's the second Warp Prism. The first one was obviously killed, given that it only had 25 HP. And now the Force pushing inside a scan on top of the ramp to make sure he can take down that Stalker. And now inside the mineral line of the natural expansion, trying to deal with some of these probes and perhaps gain himself a good position here. He will get inside, and now we'll see if tTWhite-Ra is going to attack here. He does have the Warp Prism over here at Gimmix's base. Very few SCVs left over here in the main mineral line, but now the Bio Forces have been caught out. A second Colossus is now out. Probes doing what they can against that Bio Force. Again, the Colossus getting almost caught out of position there. He's going to have to be very careful. Stim going off again on this Bio Force, trying to take out that Colossus. Not going to be able to do it just yet. And these leftover forces, this is very, very close for tTWhite-Ra. He's only got a few units to defend. If he can keep the Colossus in the battle for the moment, he should be able to deal with it. But just back at Gimmix's base, still no action on this Warp Prism. He's just hanging out here, just seeing the sights. And if he can drop in a couple of Zealots, which he won't be able to because he's busy warping in units at the front door to try and defend the front, he can actually do some damage in the mineral line of Gimmix. But Gimmix now losing forces here at the back. The Colossus have their extended thermal lance, so they will be doing a lot of damage. The Warp Prism now is going to have to escape. The shields have been depleted, and the Marines in fact have range just over here, so they did catch out that Warp Prism before it was able to do any damage at all, but now the game currently sitting in quite a bad spot for Gimmick still. He's actually just up on the supply lead at the moment, but his tech is just a tiny bit behind. We still don't actually have a factory at all, so there's going to be no tanks to assist in the damage at all, and there are of course no starports as well for medevacs, which of course are one of the vital parts of using a bio army. So we'll see now. White-Ra is beginning to push up through the highway on the map here. He's got his speed limit set, and he's just going straight in for the moment. No, he's actually going to just camp out for the moment. But White-Ra now has got a bit of a lead here. He's actually just a bit behind in the harvester count. He's about 10 behind actually, so he had to spend a lot of time microing around his units and then actually building up his attack force to perhaps push into Gimmix's base. But he's still, I would still say he's in a good position here with that tech. If he can continue to push out the Colossus or perhaps something of that effect, he will be in a good spot. But now the factory on the way, the third command center is now done and floating over to the third base for Gimmix here, up at the 10 or 11 o'clock position. Some SCVs just heading up to check out what's going on, and another Warp Prism has been loaded up with Zealots. I would have loved to seen a Colossus inside here. Got to be careful there. Those Marines off to the side, they are inside the smoke, so they can't actually see where that Warp Prism is. That unfortunate line of sight blocker there for those Marines. And now with the Warp Prism heading in the back, it may be able to drop into the mineral line here and put down those Zealots, and then if it can warp in some more, he will be in a really good spot and will be able to do some more harassment. They're dropping off 2 of them. They will be able to take out some of these SCVs, dropping in the extra 2 down at the natural, but not actually getting too much done because there is that Bioforce there at the current moment. And now these Zealots are doing a little bit of damage. They do have a couple of SCV kills, 2 kills there, and 2 kills on this one. But now attempting to drop into the natural again, not really doing too much, but what he will do is scout around here and may in fact see the third base is up and running, and indeed he does. Sees that the SCVs are powering away at those minerals there. He's going to probably, I would say, keep this Warp Prism alive just down to the side, while back at White-Ra's side of the map, he is expanding down to his own third. We still have another Colossus pumping out here. We've got a total of 2 on the map at the moment. So we'll see if White-Ra is going to do some sort of timing push, or if he's just going to stick with expanding at the moment and trying to catch up in that harvest account. We do see the supply currently sitting at 113 for Gimmix, actually capped at the moment, and 92 for White-Ra, now just uncapping himself. He is going to try and push up through the right-hand side of the map, perhaps going to get inside to this base here. There is a planetary fortress here, and that Warp Prism again is just coming inside, dropping some more Zealots off. There are only 3 here, but they are not going to get too much done against the planetary fortress. A couple of Marines ready to defend against that Warp Prism as well. And Gimmix now again putting down another command center. Look at this. This guy loves to expand as soon as he can. And now with the pylon being built outside the base of Gimmix, he will be able to warp in some more units here. White-Ra is probably going to look to push here with those 2 Colossus out. We've got a few Stalkers on the ground as well. In fact, 3 Colossus now as well. They do not have any upgrades just as of yet here. Gimmix, meanwhile, himself also sitting on no upgrades. But now, with those warp-ins taking place here, we'll see if White-Ra can segment the forces here. That's what I'm thinking this is going to be about here. If he can just sort of segment the forces of Gimmix and actually get a good position there with those Colossus, he should be able to do a lot of damage. And in fact, inside the main base, we did see some Zealots just dropping in here, saying hi to those SCVs. I'm back again, but the Warp Prism now going down. Meanwhile, at the front of the base, the force fields are being placed down on the ground. They're not actually favoring White-Ra that well. He did actually lose a couple of the Zealots because they were stuck behind that little curve of the force fields here, and we don't see any more warp-ins just yet. Here we go. We've got another warp in here. These Colossus are going to do a heap of damage because there is nothing in the sky. Of course, there are no Vikings to actually counteract these Colossus. Now pushing inside, the supply lead has dropped for Gimmix. He now does have 1 Viking out. I tell you what, that's not going to do anything against this massive Stalker force. And now, with the rest of the bio stuck on the ramp there, being absolutely obliterated, there is the GG from Gimmix. And that is going to be it for this particular series. So much credit to Gimmix for giving up those first couple of games to make sure the series was even and just have an even fight with White-Ra. As he said, he wants to beat him pretty much of his own merit. And now, unfortunately, we see that White-Ra was just really, really well committed to those Warp Prism attacks, doing a lot of harassment, and then coming in with his huge attack force of Stalker Colossus. So great play to White-Ra. He will proceed through to the next round. Make sure you check out some of the other games here on the MLG website, and of course on my own YouTube as well. Cheers.